rely on beforehand in order to get and stay hard. But what if you were stranded in the middle of nowhere? You meet a special person, you got that moment, and you still want to perform, but you don't have anything, no access to a store, to your pockets, anything like that. What could you do immediately in the moment to get and stay hard, to perform and please your partner without the worry? Well, stay tuned. I'm going to go through all 5 so that tonight or tomorrow, that special moment hits, you don't have to dive in your closet, find some water, and swallow anything. Hey, I'm DrRachael, and this is what we do. We help you optimize the natural way. So subscribe to this channel for more. First thing you do, someone goes down or it starts to feel great. What's the first thing you do? I want you to change that, because if you change that one little thing, erectile function without needing any pills or anything like that will be closer on hand. So this is what I want you to do instead. Instead of breathing out of your mouth, I want you to utilize your nasal passages. Believe it or not, the nasal cavity has erectile tissue there. The same erectile tissue that's down there is actually lining the nasal passages. And so what happens when we take deep breaths through our nasal cavity? It produces something called nitric oxide gas. Nitric oxide gas is the molecule that unites every single discipline in medicine. It is so important for so many things, but particularly when it comes to blood flow. So what I want you to do is, instead of panting and breathing out loud, I want you to take do that 10 times and then hold it. Because what we're actually doing is we're not only utilizing the oxygen to create more nitric oxide, we're also using carbon dioxide to get us there, to get us to that increased blood flow that we find that clinically happens when we're using nasal breathing as opposed to mouth breathing. So while you're there getting ready, we're going to use our nasal breathing. Hold it. You'll look down and start to see that you've breathed life into way more than just your nasal passages. To capitalize on this amazing thing that nobody ever really talks much about is to hum. Hum through the nasal passages. If it feels good to you, if you want it, And what that's actually doing is it is increasing your nasal passages' ability to create more nitric oxide gas. And nitric oxide gas then actually gets into the lung tissue, it diffuses out into the blood, it goes into the bloodstream, and it improves blood flow to all areas, particularly to the area that we need when we're in the throes of passion. That's the first thing. Now, I want you to know your anatomy, right? So pretend this is you and that you're actually laying on your back, right? This is the anus, and this is where the testicles end. Halfway in between this spot is an area that acupuncturists will call the Genmo spot. In actuality, that's an area overlying your prostate gland. Why is this important? Well, the prostate gland is very important when it comes to finishing, that explosion type of motion, right? So what we want to do is isolate this area so that when you're in the throes of passion, you can actually take your finger and apply pressure right to this area right here. Forget the squeeze technique up here, squeeze right here. And what this is going to do is stop your ejaculate right in its tracks. The Genmo point. Know it, use it, and push it. And if it doesn't help you hold back, what it'll actually allow you to do is kind of silently ejaculate so that you're actually experiencing the moment, but nothing comes out. What this then allows you to do is actually last longer the next time around. So you don't need anything to get hard the second time around, and you've lasted longer and had a better session, and you didn't need anything other than yourself to do it. So if I do a little cutaway here of the pelvis system, what you'll notice here is this is the prostate, this is your bladder. This is where your urethra is coming through, and that's where the ejaculate would come out. What I want you to do is on the exterior of your body, you're going to actually be putting pressure right here so that it traps off your urethra, which is the tube that the ejaculate is supposed to come out, and it doesn't go through. So you're lasting longer. Magic. Next, you're in a deserted space. You don't have time to take anything. You're worried whether or not you're going to be able to perform. The next thing I want you to do is think about gravity. What's that saying? What goes up must come down. So I want you to keep this in mind, and instead of instantly thinking, okay, we're here, I'm about to get some, let me lay on my back and enjoy it, I want you to instead stay upright, either on your knees upright or in a standing position to get some. Because what's happening here is that when you're actually on your back, your veins that are supposed to be actually trapping the blood into the erectile tissue, actually those veins have more of an opportunity to become what we call incompetent, meaning the valves become leaky and all of that should be staying within the erectile tissue and maintaining stiffness actually seeps out, and you get weakness and you lose your erection. So for this instance, what you have to do is, instead of lazing back on your back, there's leaves and twigs everywhere anyway, stay upright. Now I want to teach you something that we don't talk enough about. Now this is something that has been practiced as long ago as 2,000 years ago. And the Tao of Sexology talks about something called your sexual cycle. Now, what I want you to think about is, I want you to think you're on this deserted island with somebody that you could potentially have sex with all day, every day, right? How can you do that without the blue pill? How can you do that without the purple pill, the pink pill? So one thing that they realized years ago, and now science has actually caught up with this, is that sexual tension is your friend. So what do I mean by that? Sexual tension is something that makes you long for sex, want for sex, like look forward to it, anticipate it. It's got your dopamine levels off the charts. So what you want to do is I want to teach you a very simple formula. Take your age and divide it by 5. So for example, if you're 40 years old, you divide your age by 5, you come up with the number 8. 8 is your cycle. So what that means is you should not ejaculate more frequently than every 8 days. And this is in order for you to last longer on your next encounter. So if you're going to be in the deserted area, you're going to need to call upon everything to stay there, to stay hard, to get hard, and you don't want anything to deter it. The best thing that you can do for yourself is figure out your cycle and really try to not necessarily minimize ejaculation, but prolong it. So for instance, say today you're having a magical moment, don't go until you finish. Wait it out. Drag that finish line out for 8 days, and your partner will be begging you for it, and we'll be like, well, dang, how did you do that? So the goal ultimately is to prolong. It's not to stop it, but it's to prolong it and to keep it within your cycle. So for instance, if you're 50, you shouldn't ejaculate more than every 10 days for optimal, energizing, and driven sexual energy. So let's talk about how this one thing that you can do in the woods, that you can do at the stream, that you can do anything, anywhere, this one thing can impact your ability to get an erection, keep an erection, and last longer during the process, okay? So I want you to take a look at this cross section here. If you look, here's the anus and the rectum, right? Here's your bladder. Here's your prostate. And here's the penis, right? What you'll notice about this is how close everything is together, right? They're all mashed up there. So if any one of these things is taking up more space, when the blood that's supposed to flow freely through the erectile tissue, when something up here is full or enlarged, then it's going to actually apply more pressure downward and allow for there to be less engorgement or less blood flow. So what's the solution? See this thing? This is our bladder. We want to completely empty the bladder before sex. Now, not just go and urinate and be done with it. I want you to go, stand there or sit there, however you decide to do it. Go ahead and do your regular stream. And then at the end of it, I want you to kind of bear down with your muscles and relax everything and almost push down in the abdominal area to push out any extra urine that could be sitting there, because that extra urine is taking up space and opportunity for you to have an amazing erection. So those are ways for you to immediately get harder, get stiffer, and stay that way for longer. So I'm DrRachael. Subscribe to the channel. And for an all-natural approach to your erectile function, check out my smoothie recipes.